You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Upland Brits. What is up, rookies, and welcome to episode number 3 of the Upland Rookie podcast. I'm your host, Will Larson, and this is presented by Upland Brits. Well, we have a very special episode for you today. My guest is Adam Pecht. Now, Adam, you might be familiar with some of his work on social media. He to summarize, he took this epic 5 or 6 month journey across the U.S., chasing upland birds and photographing and documenting his journey along the way. He loaded up his Suburban, threw his dog, his gear in the truck early last year and started out on this journey. This is, I think, a very inspiring episode just to hear more behind the scenes of what prompted this trip, kind of what was the goal behind it, and really to hear some of the stories, some of the success, some of the failure, some of the a little bit of everything around this trip that Adam took. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope you do as well. I want to thank my sponsor, Eukanuba Premium Performance Dog Food. If you want to get everything your dog's got, then you need nutrition that holds nothing back. To unleash your dog's maximum potential, check out the new Eukanuba Premium Performance lineup at eukanubasportingdog.com. I also want to thank Dakota 283. If you're in the market for a new kennel, then check out Dakota 283, the G3 Medium Series. But they also have a size that's right for you and your dog. At checkout, use my promo code TUR10 for 10% off your order. Before we jump in, we're going to do a listener's question. Joseph Matthew Gallen asks, your opinion, what is the best rig for upland hunting with 2 dogs? Whatever gets you out into the field and home safely. No, but seriously, yes, I do stand by that. Whatever is going to get you out there, it doesn't have to be this $50,000 pickup truck. Now, if you're asking what I enjoy, what is functional, then yes, I think a pickup is very functional, especially with dogs. My setup currently, I did switch to a topper about a year ago, and that's been a lifesaver. I've really enjoyed that. Having the topper, I throw my 283 kennels, 2 of them in the back right now. I push them towards the tailgate. So when I drop the tailgate, I don't have to reach in super far to let the dogs out of the kennels. And then I went with a side pop-up window or a fold-out window on the topper. I wish I actually would have gotten 2 of those on each side. I got one, my right side is a pop-up window, the left side's a sliding window. The pop-up makes it really easy for getting in the side or getting in towards the back of the truck. So if you're looking at a topper, I would, just from personal experience, try getting 2 pop-up windows, especially with having those kennels towards the tailgate side. You can throw your cooler gear you need to access quickly towards the front of the pickup. Things I will be adding, hopefully in the future, I either want to build a drawer system or maybe look into a decked system. So put the kennels on top of that, and then you have those 2 sliding drawers. Really nice spot to store a shotgun or shells or a vest as you're going field to field. But honestly, whatever truck or car is going to get you to the field safely, not get stuck. A lot of these hunts are muddy or snowy, so just be smart about it. Don't take a Honda Civic to Kansas. Probably not going to work super well. And then, I run some BF Goodwrench KO2 all trains. They've been a great tire. I've enjoyed them the past year and a half. So, give me lots of traction. Road noise isn't too bad. So that's just a little bit of my rig, what I'm using. Again, really enjoy it. Can't say enough about the Lear pop-up windows on the topper, and the Dakota Kennels, they fit really nice in the back of my my pickup. Oh, I have a F-150, by the way. Sorry, I don't think I mentioned that. It's a 2017 F-150. It's the small V6, so it doesn't have a ton of power, but it looks cool. The other thing I was going to say about rig, I am curious. I need to play with my setup a little bit. If I add a third dog here and a third kennel, I will need to kind of figure out, just figure out what that setup looks like. I might turn the kennels sideways so that the doors face the pop-up window, and then I would open the kennel doors that way. Or I might just run 2 kennels still and double up the dogs. Again, my Brittany's are pretty small, so they could share a kennel on a trip. So we'll see. I like having dogs in their own kennels because if you want to let one out, get them collared up, all that, you're not trying to deal with 2 dogs trying to get out. So anyways, Joseph, thank you for your question. If you have a question or would like to write in, feel free to message me at Upland_Brits or at the Upland Rookie Podcast. Would love to have your question, and we can get it on a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. It looks like you're in your office there. That's pretty sweet setup.
Yes. It's my mom's office. So
Nice.
I currently live with my parents.
There you go.
It's the good life. Had to find like a soft landing after the trip, after the trip. But I'm in my mom's little office. She's a doctor. So during COVID, she was doing telemedicine stuff. So we set her office up for Zoom calls.
Nice.
It looks really good, but I got a Peloton next to me.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm good to go, dude. I'm good.
Yeah, you can get all your work done there. You get a workout in, get some work done.
Dude, I spend all day every day in this room.
Really? I'm sure.
I go to bed. I wake up at 4:30 every morning, read in my bedroom, and make coffee. Come in here, work out, start working.
Nice.
That's it. That's my day.
That's awesome. So are you just full on going through all your photos right now? Is that just your life pretty much at this point?
No, actually, no. I don't have any photos left to go through.
Okay.
I edited while I was on the road. So
nice.
I took over I think it's 100,000 photos or something like that while I was on the
that
road.
is crazy.
There was no way that I would be able to mentally have been
if you didn't keep up with it.
If there were times that I got a couple of weeks behind, or maybe it was 5 hunts behind, and there was 6,000 photos to edit or just to go through, and I would be oh no, oh god,
that's gotta be a daunting task then. If you do get a couple days behind, that's gotta be pretty intense. I'm working, and I still go through photos just to look through stuff and find things and think back, and helps me write a bit to look back at those memories. But I'm not editing, which is super nice. Just get back into work, which has kind of been a crazy thing. Yeah, absolutely. So let's back up a second. So just tell us, where are you talking to us from today, and where'd you grow up? Let's start with there.
Yeah. So I grew up in Buford, Georgia, which is actually where I am today. I'm in Buford, Georgia, and I'm at my parents' farm. It's a small farm. It's not a working farm. We have bird dogs, and we've got some horses. It's about 14 acres.
Nice.
At one point, I think we had 30 or 40 acres. But we've kind of there's neighbors all around us now. We're the only kind of property left in the town, or left in the area now that's not a subdivision or some stretch, some corner market or whatever. So so that's where I'm at currently, and kind of just using this as a soft landing.
Yeah. And so Buford, Georgia, is that, I don't know Georgia really at all.
Yeah.
Where, north, south, where's this kind of
45 minutes north of Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's where it's the home that I think I moved into 1 month after I was born.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah,
The full
I mean,
circle.
yeah, full circle. So yeah, so I've been here this has been my home for my whole life.
That's
and
awesome.
I moved. Actually, I'm living with my parents, and it sounds really horrible, but I moved out I moved away from Georgia 10 years ago when I graduated high school, and I haven't lived in Georgia ever since.
Oh, wow.
Until COVID happened, which that's like COVID happening. I said, like, this sounds so horrible, but like, man, COVID has been sweet. like, like COVID changed my life, man.
Yeah.
And for the better. Like, and I know, I mean, I say that like jokingly, like I know it's been horrible for a lot of
Absolutely.
for a lot of people. It's been really hard. But like just for me, man,
for what you're doing in your life, and
it's been kick ass. Like there's like I learned a lot about myself, and like it kind of just like put a lot of things into motion that never would have happened any other way.
Absolutely. Well, I know we're going to be talking a lot more about that, your trip you went on, but just give us a quick overview of your company. Like, just give us a quick overview just of Adam on the professional side, the photos, a little bit of the writing you do. Just give us an overview.
So that's a funny thing. Like what's your company here's. So I picked up a camera 3 years ago for the first time ever.
Shut the front door.
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude, seriously. I bought call it 8 months ago, I've got a Canon 5D Mark IV.
Okay.
And before that, I had the same camera, that my first ever camera, the Canon T6i.
Okay. So are those really nice, or are those really beginner?
No, like the Canon T6i is like you buy it at Costco. Like,
okay.
That's like the Costco. That's like
gotcha.
The starter pack. And then actually yesterday I bought a new camera. But man, I started out as I did a lot. I lived in Colorado for 6 years. So I'll just kind of give you a background of
definitely
my whole life.
Would love to.
I grew up in Georgia, and my dad got into hunting when he was 40, which I believe I was 7 at that time. And that's what got me into hunting. And I've been hunting ever since then. And we ran bird dogs. We had American Brittany's and Labs. We ran the AKC field trials. We did the Georgia Lina circuit.
Oh, wow.
We did a lot of that. And that was great. It was a great upbringing. And then I got really into hockey, and that kind of took over my whole life. I would hunt every year, but not an absurd amount.
It took a backseat to hockey pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. Everything took a backseat to hocky. So
which isn't bad. I'm a big hockey fan. It's not bad.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. I mean, I had a great time. Like I played hockey till I was 22. Okay. I played junior hockey. So I started playing junior hockey, which is 21 and under, when I was 15. I moved to Montana. That was in 2011. I moved to Montana to play juniors, and then I got traded to Wisconsin, and then to Wyoming.
Oh, wow.
In Gillette, Wyoming, and then I went to Finlandia University to play college hockey.
Okay.
Played a year there, and then it was just so freaking cold there. Which it was in the UP, so
sure.
It was
that's way up there.
Prime time for upland hunting. And I did not do any upland hunting.
Really? Wow.
And really look back, I'm bummed about it. But I have contacts up there now, so hopefully I'll be able to get up there and go experience that. But
sweet.
I lived in the UP for a year, and then decided to move. Done with hockey. I fought a lot in junior hockey, and so I had some concussions and stuff. And it was cold. I just wasn't enjoying it anymore, and I was getting a little nervous about concussions. So I quit hockey and moved to Colorado, and then kind of got into snowboarding and stuff, and got back into hunting. And then that's the story of that. And I went to college. When I went to Colorado, I went to college at CU Denver Business School. That's where I graduated from. While I was in college, this kind of gets into the professional side of things. Is I worked for an artificial intelligence company while I was in college. And then I was doing digital marketing for them. And then I got a job at a big corporation. It was it was a dream job.
Sure.
For a lot of people would have been a dream job. I was making good money, and first job out of college that was paying way more than somebody that just out of college should be doing. And but I absolutely hated it. It was great. It was great paying. I was like, man, this is stupid. Like, you'd be happy with it, but I was just miserable. And I had actually decided I was going on a 14-day hunting trip with my dad. And I had decided, like, all right, when I get back from this trip, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to find another job. All I was doing was SEO. I was like starting a business initiative doing search engine optimization. And I, went on this hunting trip, which hunting has always been one of those things that I can go do and kind of just, it spurs on these weird things. Like, it gives me these there's something about hunting. I don't know what it is, but so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to quit my job when I get back from this trip. And then the day that I was leaving for the trip, I got a phone call from my boss and was like, hey, we need to have a meeting.
Yeah.
And they were having a reduction in force, and I got laid off.
Oh my gosh.
And so I got my severance package.
Yeah.
I was like, oh dude.
What
and
timing?
I got paid out on my 14 days of PTO. Like, it was all, like, I was like, holy crap.
And how long ago was this? You were in Colorado still, right?
Yeah. So this was 4 years ago.
Okay.
4 years ago, maybe. So that happened, and I was like, oh man, that's crazy. Like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, that really worked out, honestly. Like, they were like, man, we're so sorry. I was like, oh man,
it is okay. Trust me.
I was like,
it is.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But that kind of forced me to just decide what I want to do with the rest of my life. And the reason I hated that job was the work wasn't fulfilling, and I do not do well with having people tell me what to do. I'm just like a habitual entrepreneur. Sure. And so I decided to start my own digital marketing firm. And that's what subliminal media actually is. It has nothing to do with the outdoor industry whatsoever.
Okay.
It's just a digital marketing firm. But I always have this habit of, like I said, I'm a habitual entrepreneur. And when I started really getting back into hunting and photography, and then found a passion for writing, which is a crazy thing that I'm actually into writing now, and never would have thought that, or photography.
Sure.
So I found a passion for it, and
So when you started your media company, you did not have the intention for it to be an outdoor hunting focus at all?
No, it still isn't. So subliminal media is still a thing. So subliminal, like, I have like biotech clients, real estate clients.
Oh, wow. So
like
you're
that.
in other spaces already. Okay.
Yeah. It's completely unrelated to the outdoor industry. There might be some stuff that I'll like do in collaboration with the company for like an ad or something like that, but not really anything in the outdoor industry. And then what actually is, as a habitual entrepreneur, in the last year, or in the last 8 months, I actually did start a company called A Field Media, which is a business with my business partner, Jake Orlich. And that is actually where we are starting to produce content.
Oh, nice. Specifically for the outdoor.
Specifically for the outdoor.
Gotcha. I've seen some of his stuff as well. It's really good.
Man, he's so talented. Like, he is full of piss and vinegar. He's young, but he is so talented. So
yeah, he puts out some great stuff.
Yeah, especially his Bucky's reviews. Those are hilarious.
Oh yes, I just started seeing those not too long ago. I'm like, what are these?
Funny. So funny.
That's fantastic. So I have so many questions rattling through my mind.
Go for it.
But
we got time.
Talking a little bit about because you say you just picked up a camera 3 years ago. So like, talk a little bit about like what prompted you to want to pick up the camera, start doing photos. Because I'll just say, from my own perspective, I mean, you do some great photos that I really enjoy. I know a lot of other people are really enjoying as well. So,
thank you so
what
much.
led you to that? And then how did you kind of hone that craft and get better and better?
So I got into it. When I first moved to Colorado, one of the only people I knew in Colorado, his name is Matt House. He's one of my best friends, and he was really into photography. And I'm really just always been into the outdoors since I moved to Colorado. Not always. When I played hockey, I was not in the outdoors, but other than hunting. But I got into backpacking and backcountry snowboarding and really back into fly fishing from when I was a kid. And I was just always spending time in these beautiful places in Colorado, as you know.
Sure.
You can't go somewhere and then you try to take a photo with your iPhone and it just never does it justice. And so I would still try and do that. And at that time, man, I was like just struggling college student, like you can't afford a $400 camera or whatever it is. And so I was just taking photos on my iPhone. I was always really upset, kind of like, oh man, like I wish I could take that good photo. I wish I could take a better photo. And then Matt helped me out and let me borrow his camera, and that was cool. And then I got my own little Canon T6i, and so that was the motivation for me getting a camera. And,
okay.
I did a lot of ski, snowboard photography, and that was fun. A lot of my friends are really phenomenal. Like something that people will probably never see is the photos I take of my friends skiing, like street skiing in Denver and stuff like that, like with Level 1 and stuff like that. So so that's always been fun. And that was when I kind of got into, I was like, man, this is like really cool. Like I see these guys that are out here that are like, these photographers are out here getting paid to like take these photos. Man, that'd be cool. Like, that would be cool.
Kind of piqued your interest.
Yeah. And so I always have a business mind. So I was like, okay, well, what are these photos? What are these things? And so I started this other company, and it was to essentially get my friends that were pro skiers, snowboarders paid more money based on like photos or videos that they were in, like what gear they were wearing.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, I'm taking these photos now, and like I can identify what gear these people are wearing. And that was that piece of it, was kind of like, okay, this idea of like maybe that you can make some money or whatever it is. And
sure.
And at that point I was, going on these hunting trips with my dad, or I just took my camera with me, not thinking anything of it. And I'm still like, still just, I don't really think anything of it, but go out and just take photos of my dad. I always thought, he always talked about when he has friends, and all of his friends except for one that he hunted with are dead. Like they've all died somehow. Wow. Like, and my dad's 65. It's not like he's old or
sure.
He's older, but
yeah, he's young still.
All of his friends have just died somehow, like wow. Weird ways of dying. And so
sure.
We look at these photos and we're like, damn, like, man, he's like, I wish we would have taken more photos. That's cool. Like, I should take more photos of this. This is cool to capture. And seeing my dad's face, like when I would capture these photos, man, that's so cool. Like, I love that, blah, blah. So then, that's when it all kind of clicked. And, the honing of the skills, I really appreciate you saying that you like my photos. I really don't know anything about photography. Like, I say this, I messaged, I was actually talking to Jake, my business partner, yesterday. Like, when I tell people that I don't know anything about photography, no one, like, he's the only person that knows that I literally don't know.
See, I don't believe you when you say that. As you're talking here, admittedly, I'm actually scrolling through your social media right now. And I don't know what kind of style you call it. I don't know if you know what kind of style it is. But
Emily Spoliar, one of my friends I met on this trip, Emily Spoliar, she referred to it as moody.
Moody. Like, that's a good term for it.
She was like, Adam, she's like, has anybody ever told you that your aesthetic is moody? And I was like, no one has ever said that.
It's artistic. It's not, I'm scrolling through these and they're not, I don't know. They're not all just like everyone's looking at the camera. It's not these portrait, not all these tailgate shots. You're getting shots of, like, without reading the caption of whatever you post, you can kind of know what's going on. Like a little bit of the story almost. And that's the cool part.
So that awesome. Gets me into something of, is like, I literally I do not know. I'm going to say this, and people listening that know,
you're BSing, man. You're BSing.
No, they're going to laugh. No, they're going to laugh, because until I'd say, I'll fact check myself with Jake, but I think it was like 3 months ago, he told me what white balance was.
I have heard of that too. So
dude, I
I've
was
heard of
like,
it.
what? I was like, white balance? What is
What
that?
the
He's like,
heck are you talking about?
he was like, what? I was like, yeah, dude, white balances. He's like, oh my God. You're
Okay.
an idiot. So
Okay.
I did nothing. So I genuinely appreciate you saying that you like my photography. I just take photos I think are cool. And what happens is that what I have kind of identified as what is why I take the photos that I do are because I think those are the moments that I think are special, but also it doesn't have to do with. So I was talking to a gal named Alexis Green. She's actually another Georgia-based upland photographer. She's really great. And she had called me and she's like, I would love to just, learn, what is it? How do you take these upland photos? Because she did predominantly waterfowl. And I was like, we started talking, and I think I said 3 things that were camera, like photography related. And then I started explaining hunting, like what is involved in an upland hunt. And what I got out of that was that I've been doing this in terms of this being hunting, upland hunting. I shot my first deer this season. Like, I'd never been a big game hunter, never been turkey hunting, or I've gone turkey hunting one time when I was like 10.
Okay.
Not a waterfowl hunter, really. I mean, I've done it a bunch, but not a waterfowl hunter, like pretty much just upland hunting.
Just upland, yeah.
And I've been doing it for so long that like I know what's going to happen. And I like 9 times out of 10, I know what's going to happen. I know how things are going to shake out. I know that, somebody is going to be walking across the field and they're likely going to shout over to their friend at some point. And so you can be in the position that to catch that moment.
It becomes a little bit more instinctual at that point. If you're around it long enough, you can read body language, read little signs of the dog, or all these different things.
The dog piece is huge, knowing the way the dog's head is like cocked to the side or whatever, or where, like what that habitat looks like that the bird is in, and what the habitat around it looks like. With Alexis, I was like, hey, look for escape habitat. Like, that's the way that the birds are going to fly, and knowing that stuff is kind of allows me to key in to get the photos.
Allows you to get ready. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's really what
I
identify that as, is like, it's not the photography skills by any means. Like, I literally just press
a little
the
more,
button down.
A little more of the knowledge and the skill of hunting. Let's back up a tiny bit. So you've mentioned, you pretty much grew up hunting. Sounds like you've been doing it for a long time, specifically upland hunting. So, I mean, it sounds like your parents were big hunters. Like, talk a little bit about growing up hunting. Like, you take some really cool photos of your mom too. It looks like she's out in the field still.
Oh man. Okay.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Okay. This is actually really funny. So my dad is a person just like I am. When we get into something, we're like full bore, like full till into it. And so he got into upland hunting when he was 40, as I said, and I believe.
A little bit later.
Yeah. So he was an adult onset hunter. And this will kind of get us into like the generational thing is one of the reasons he got into upland hunting was because he read the book A Hunter's Road. Okay. So put a bookmark in that. Wow. So he got into upland hunting, and then I got into it, like, because he was into it, I got into it. That's what we wanted to do on the weekends. And, when he got into upland hunting, he was like, well, I need a bird dog. And so we got an American Brittany. We had a lab before, we had labs before just as pets. And so, so we got a bird dog, and then, he went into the, Delmar Smith train the trainer training. Oh, wow. And then we started running the AKC field trials on horse. Then we got a horse because we needed to be on horseback.
Oh, nice. You guys went all in.
Yeah, no, all in.
That is so cool.
In. And so, so that was my dad. And my dad he has always been self-employed. So he has the flexibility to do that and always to be outside doing stuff, which is obviously why I am the way I am as well. But I say that, but my mom has also been self-employed a majority of my life, but she's a doctor. So she has never actually been into hunting until as of recently.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my dad has always just gone out and does whatever he does. He just does things, like that's just who he is. He got into triathlons. He still does full Ironmans to this
Wow.
day.
Wow.
But my mom has just always been like she's such a hard worker, and she has her own practice. And we were talking, and what over the last couple of years we've talked about it is, what is it like, what are you going to do when you retire? You're coming up on it. And she says, I don't know. Like, I haven't had time to think about anything other than work for the last 30 years of my life. And that's so true. Even when I was a kid, when I was young, I mean, she quit being she delivered babies. So she's a OBGYN. She dropped the OB. Now she's just GYN. But, when she was doing OB, we wouldn't see her for weeks at a time. She was at the hospital, or if she came home, she was going right to sleep, and had to go back in to deliver babies. So she's such a hard worker. And so what are you going to get into, Mom? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, well, D and I call my dad D.
Okay.
D and we're pretty, we're pretty into this upland hunting thing. Like, you should, maybe. And she's like, maybe I should try it. Maybe I should. So she's a great sport. She comes out, and she has always just walked with us. She just like wants to, my dad always said, if you want to get your wife, your significant other, into something that you are passionate about, that you want her to do, is like 90% of the time is like, if you buy them a nice outfit that like looks good, makes them look comfortable, and looks like they know what they're doing,
good
then
advice.
They're into it.
Good advice.
They've been married for like 45 years. So
nice.
Something's got
yeah,
work.
it's working.
Yeah. And so my dad, they go out and they, buy nice outfits for her, and
that's cool.
She just goes out and walks with us. And so, this last year, she really saw how passionate I was about this. And she has always been so supportive of me. Just always so supportive. And she's like, do you love it this much? Like, maybe I should try like the hunting piece of it.
Maybe there's something to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she met me out in she met my dad, went with my dad and met me out in Montana for a hunt this season. Yeah. And that was really crazy. And then I had been put in contact with the Flying Bee Lodge and in Idaho. And I never made it out to Idaho, but I saw they're having this women's weekend hunt. And I was like, Mom, maybe you should try this. Like this, it sounds something like, a women's weekend. There's like not a lot of mansplaining going on.
Sure.
And maybe you could actually hunt, like maybe you could actually carry a gun. She's like, you know what, I could do that.
Wow.
Maybe. And so she and my sister actually went out. And they got it. They did it, and they loved it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, they're already talking about going back next year. Like they loved it. So yeah, I mean, I grew up in a hunting family. Like I'm sitting in my mom's office right now, and there's a bafflehead duck and a pheasant on the wall. Like, nice. I mean, like we had it's a hunting family.
It's a hunting family, yeah. So that's awesome, dude. So I don't know a ton about hunting in Georgia. Like, is it primarily wild quail? Is that the only wild species you have?
Yeah, that's the only. So I mean, yeah. Okay. No, that's not the only wild thing we have. Okay. But that was predominantly what I did quail hunting, and also it was a lot of it in my area is preserve hunting. So I grew up hunting preserves, and
same here. I grew up hunting in Illinois. I didn't start hunting until I was a little bit older, probably late teens, and it was all preserved pheasant. So very familiar with that.
And I'm not, and a lot of people will knock, preserve hunting and stuff. And
yep.
And you know what? If it gets people into hunting, then like what?
Look at you and I, just point in case. Yeah. I mean,
right.
It's my passion. It's your passion. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, I grew up maybe I went down and hunted some wild quail when I was growing up, but it was never anything outrageous or anything. It wasn't all the time. I was definitely doing a lot of preserve hunting. And so, yeah, so that was my early upbringing. And then I had always heard about my dad going out on these Kansas pheasant hunts with his friends and stuff. And I always wanted to go. And I don't think I was able to go until I was 18 or 19.
Okay.
And it was actually when I was living in Gillette, Wyoming, I got to meet up with my dad in South Dakota. That was like the first hunt that I did out there out west.
Yeah,
it was awesome. It was great.
Oh,
and
that's so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, cool. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. A lot of preserves and stuff like that.
No, I love preserves. I have some great memories with my dad there. Started hunting behind a couple Brittany's. The hunt club we were kind of a part of, they would provide you a guide if you needed one. So this old guide, he's probably 65 or 70 at the time, took us out with his Brittany's, and I was just mesmerized by this experience and watching the dogs work. And he was really good at just explaining like more about hunting to me. And so, yeah, I have some great memories there. Yeah,
man. And that sounds like kind of your mentor, right? Would you say that was like kind of your hunting mentor?
Yeah. Early on. I mean, this guy came, my dad passed away about 2.5 years ago. He came to my dad's funeral. Like we became very close, and definitely got me in, helped me get into the upland hunting and bird dogs and even Brittany.
Yeah. So. You know, that's, so the mentor piece of it is huge. And whether it's a kid or an adult, you know, when I say I was lucky, I mean, I'm outrageously lucky to say what I'm about to say is, my dad's best friend, who is no longer around, but, aside from my dad being my hunting mentor, I got to have the editor-in-chief of Gray Sporting Journal, Dave Foster. He was my dad's best friend, and he really helped me along, in my hunting journey when I was a kid, and taught me a lot, took me under his wing. And so he actually left me his like Toyota Land Cruiser, and his will when he passed away. And, so I was super lucky, but, looking back on that and seeing, he wasn't my father, and why did he do that? It was his best friend's kid, I guess, but took the time to mentor somebody and foster it, and, foster that love. So I think that's really, really important. That's something I always want to push out to people, is like, if your friend has a kid or whatever, or your friend wants to go hunting, like take them hunting and be a good mentor. And help them get. Because
I've met plenty of people in my life that, whether it was around hunting or even other hobbies or things, people can be standoffish or they don't want to share a little bit of knowledge with you or whatever that might be. And I find that the people that are willing to take that little extra step and just open up a little bit about their life, a little bit about what they know, it goes a huge, huge way. There's a guy, so the guy who owns my older Brittany Gage, his name is Jeff. He's here in Colorado, out in like the Bennett area.
Okay.
So anyways, the only reason I met him is, so he studied his dog out to someone here locally. And then the breeder who owns the mom dog put us in touch with him. They said, hey, if you ever want to, work on birds or ask him questions, he's a wealth of knowledge. I was super nervous ever reaching out to this guy. And I was like, hey, like Jeff, this is Will. I have one of your dog's puppies. And, he's like, absolutely, come on out. I got some pigeons and quail. And this has been a 4-year relationship now with Jeff and I. And every step of the way, I mean, to this day, he's still just explaining the little nuances about how dogs are working, how to plant birds, like all this stuff. And I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm still like, I still feel like I'm that newbie, like mesmerized when I'm out there with him, but he's really taken the time to educate me and share knowledge and be very humble about it too.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about that. It's, I know for a fact that if I'm somebody who doesn't know anything about hunting, you can always, like, anybody that doesn't know anything about hunting is welcome to always message me, call me. I will I give my phone number out to people all the time. I don't know if you're getting any feedback, but my dad is blowing leaves currently.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I hear a little bit. That's fine.
But is, to just reach out to me and that's huge. And, I just getting the bird dog that I got, I'm a trained pointing dog myself, I haven't trained bird dogs other than my dog Tucker, who just kind of trained me essentially, but is, in 15 years. And so, but being able to, now I have people that I can call all the time. Like I probably am harassing them at this point, but like just giving me pointers and stuff. And they're so open to it. Like they genuinely, people do care about getting people involved. And
absolutely,
you just have to find the right people. But
I
just want to put that out there. Like if anybody needs
ever
anything about hunting or connections or anything, like please reach out to me.
That's really cool, Adam.
Happy to talk to them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Okay, so let's chat a little bit about, we've mentioned it maybe a couple times here, this trip you went on. This epic, I don't even know how long it was, but I have lots of questions on this. I'm sure other people do as well. Just give us a quick overview. Like, what was the purpose of this? Like, what was the goal you set out to do? Like, why did you decide on this trip? How long was it? Just give us some of the highlights.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of like, do you want the long story or the short story?
Well, I want an overview, and then we're gonna pick it apart.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so honestly, this story, it starts when I was a kid, like when I was 6 years old.
We're going way back.
Like, yeah. So I said to put a bookmark in why my dad got into hunting is because one of the reasons is he read the book A Hunter's Road.
That's right. Okay.
And then that in turn got me into hunting. What this trip was is that I actually loosely recreated the book A Hunter's Road.
Oh, wow. And just by the way, I have not read that yet, but I'm going to.
So the book is about this guy, Jim. So this guy, Jim, it's a real story. Jim Fergus, I get goosebumps talking about it every time. He circumnavigated the U.S. Back in 1993 to hunt upland birds with his lab, just his lab. And so I had a lab, and I was like, why not? Like, this is, I want to get. There's a lot of things that, COVID had happened, and my initial thought, like I had this idea 2 or 3 years ago, maybe, to do this trip, but it was always like, okay, well, I'll do it in legs. Like I'll do, the Western leg 1 year, that's 2 weeks, and we'll do another one, and maybe it'll take me 8 years to complete it, but it's this ongoing project that gets me into hunting, right? Or gets me out hunting. Well, then COVID happened, and so I was living in Colorado at that time, and I was living in a really not so great place. As I said, habitual entrepreneur. That does not mean that I make a lot of money. Like I am always failing businesses, and so all the money I make, I put back into my businesses, and don't care where I live. So I was living in essentially this hostel. In Westminster, and COVID happens, lockdown, how crazy the lockdowns were out there, and it was nuts. And so my mom called me. She's like, Adam, my mom had cried when she saw where I was living. And so,
dude, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything about Westminster, but I know some parts of it.
Yeah, she was so distraught. But so I moved. So my mom was like, you got to come back. You got to just come back to the farm. No one knows what's happening. Blah blah blah. I was like, okay, whatever. Then I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm not doing that. And then my dad called me, and he was like, hey. And if my dad calls me, it's like somebody died.
It's serious.
Yeah. Then he's like, come back. You got to come back, man. We're here. And I'm like, well, I haven't lived there in 10 years. And so, but I did. I came back, and was no longer, a bunch of other stuff happened. And, essentially what all it boils down to is that I had an eat, pray, love moment. Is what I like to refer to it as, is I had gone through a breakup and all the stuff. And I didn't have a lease. My employee was in, my employees, I guess, were all working remote too. There's no office.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, man, I can kind of work from wherever. I have no lease. I have no reason to be anywhere else. I don't have a girlfriend.
It's kind of the time.
Let's do it. And I had bought this Suburban that I have. I had bought that from my dad like 2 weeks before
Oh, no way.
COVID had happened. And so like I had this big, huge vehicle that I was like, well, I'm gonna whatever, do this stuff to it. So so the overview is that I decided to hit the road for 6 months.
6 months. Oh my goodness.
6 months. So from February, so I hit the road August 25th, 2020. And I finished on the last hunt was on February 31st. And I got back to Georgia on like March 5th or something like that.
Wow.
So
that's so incredible.
I hunted in 16 different states. I believe we killed 17 species.
Wow.
16 or
17. That is legit, man.
Something like that. And yeah, I mean, it was.
Were you kind of
roller coaster?
Oh, I bet. Were you kind of planning like your next stops along the way? Like, how firm did you set plans out ahead of time?
That is such a freaking
I was so curious.
Question.
I'm like, did you map all this out way prior, or how'd that go?
Shit. Dude, okay, this is the craziest thing of the entire trip is that I would map out kind of where I had the book that was like the rough guide of where I was going to go.
Of the Hunter's Road, you mean?
Of the Hunter's Road, of the book of Hunter's Road, of his route, except for because when I would be getting to the Northeast would have been it was COVID, and like COVID lockdowns in the Northeast were crazy. And then you also had like the election was going on, and you also had riots and everything.
Oh my gosh.
So
yeah.
Also like
I didn't think
honestly, I never thought of really about that while I was on the road or anything, but like my mom was always freaking out. Like, okay, I'm 28 years old, and like my mom was freaking out.
Oh,
she's
my gosh.
There are you have
be careful.
There's riots, there's COVID, like there's an election, and I'm like, I was just out there.
You're just happy-go-lucky, just driving down the highway.
I was like, what's up, guys?
This is great. What's going on out there?
And I do want to say, I still do take COVID pretty seriously. So I was masked up all whenever I was as I say that, I don't want to lie about this at all. Is I was masked up as much as possible. There were times on the road that if you were in a small town in South Dakota and you're looking to talk to people about hunting, if you would have a mask,
it's not going to fly.
Not going to fly.
What's this guy from New York or something?
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna you would get vibed out. So
Absolutely.
I want to put that out.
That's smart.
Yeah. I want to put that out there. I didn't wear a mask 100% of the time, but I tried to
as much as you could. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I did. I did not. I planned. I had things throughout the trip. I had dates that I had to be somewhere.
Okay.
That was 10, 15, 20 days out from where and I had these
so then you had to fill in the gaps almost.
Yeah. So exactly. So I dude, literally had I'm the worst at planning that kind of stuff. And so
let's hit the road for 6 months,
which was so great because 98% of the people that I met on the trip were through social media. The people I hunted with were through social media. They were like, "Oh, you're coming to you're coming through here. Come on, man. Let's go." And I met some of the most amazing people in the entire world. And it wouldn't have happened if I would have had a plan. And
that's a good point.
And it was I lived in my car, man. I didn't need to plan where I had an Airbnb or anything.
You had that freedom to park wherever and sleep.
Yeah. And I slept in some sketchy places. I'm not saying I didn't, but it was, I didn't plan it out. And I think that was the beauty of it. And it was crazy that I would be I would hit these points where I was kind of nervous, oh shit, man. I don't have, I'm leaving here and I don't know. I remember, I forget, I think it was Emily Spolyar was well, where are you going after this? And I was I
That's a
don't
great
know.
question.
Like, man, that's crazy. I don't know. I don't know, believe here. I was
Yeah.
go somewhere. I don't know. And I would start getting like nervous. Like, I don't have it. Like, I've got 15 days to fill. And
Oh,
then I would maybe reach out to like one person on Instagram or something. And then it would take me 5 minutes to fill
wow.
up the next, I'm not joking, 5 minutes to fill up the next 15 days.
Wow. I mean,
And
that's a high, I mean, just following your journey, people were a huge highlight, I feel, of your journey. Some of the people you got to highlight and photograph and hunt with, it looks like that was a highlight. Is that true?
oh my God. Yeah. Like the birds, sweet. Like killing birds are awesome. Dogs working at like everything is amazing. But like it truly, the trip was like never about me. Like it was about me and like the personal journey and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was truly has always been about hearing and like hearing other people's stories and getting to know other people. I personally am in like we'll call it like an extroverted introvert,
Okay.
where I don't like crowds. I genuinely don't like crowds. I don't like going to bars. I don't like being at parties or anything, but I love people. And so like meaning I love like genuinely one-on-one getting to know
Conversations. Yeah.
conversations
Getting past
and
the surface level and getting to know them, their heart a little bit
ex-
more.
exactly getting to know their heart more, man. That's a great way to put it. Exactly. And so that was my favorite piece, man, was that I just got to like meet these people and become friends with them. I mean, I've been off the road now for 6 or 7 weeks, I think, or I don't, I mean, I guess it's 5 or 6 weeks, but I've talked to somebody, 2 or 3 people each week from the trip, like just like they just like
Well,
hit
yeah,
me up,
you
not
built those relationships
yeah,
and
like just genuinely great friends. And yeah, it's been that it was the highlight. I now have so many amazing friends that
well,
I just met and got to know, and I am in the process of writing and telling all these people's stories. And
well, so I was going to ask, were you, a couple questions in my head here. Were
yeah,
you, um, is your goal to write a book? That's my first question.
yes,
Okay. My follow up then. So obviously you were then capturing after a hunt or after a couple of days with these people, these hunts. Were you pretty intensively capturing these stories, writing things down?
no,
No. Okay. It's all in the head,
but
man. It's all in
oh
the
my
head, right?
God, dude, oh yeah, it's all in the head. And like so I wrote something about this early on in the trip, is that I like apologize to anybody that maybe they got like if it's a individual, a brand, or a publication that I had these set high expectations for like the creation of content, and I genuinely do feel bad that I like might have overpromised and underdelivered on that, because my thought was I'm going to do stuff in real time. Like I'm going to like capture these photos, I'm going to write about them, and then I'm going to post them on Instagram, post them like on websites, all this stuff. And what I found was it just didn't work. It wasn't the moments that are the most special, and the moments that you get to know people are not in the field.
Mm.
They are after the field and in the living room or at the bar or around a campfire or whatever it is. And so, going from what I was trying to do in the beginning, and I was like having a lot of anxiety around it. Also, keep in mind, I was also running a business
At the same
with
time.
with employees the
Jeez.
entire time. Like
And this is your media company overall. So you're
yeah,
still trying to
this
manage
is
projects and people and
subliminal clients that are like completely unrelated to hunting. Like they don't
sure.
understand hunting. They don't care. Like they
They need their job done.
results.
Yeah.
They need results for their businesses. So like, keep in mind, I was doing that as well on this trip. And so like from, working to hunting to meeting people and wanting to like have conversations with them, like it just became too much to try to set like this high expectations on myself, of like these deliverables. So like, oh, I want to, post something twice a week or whatever it is. And so I just kind of gave up on that. I was like, you know what? I'm only going to get, I can't let my clients suffer. And so that's not happening. Cause that's how I was funding the trip, right? Like this trip was entirely self-funded.
Sure.
Like just from like my business, like
that's really cool.
Doing it. And so I've got to make those clients happy. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to still experience, like, I want to meet, like, I want to get to know these people. I don't want to miss a thing. And so, I took these photos and I would edit the photos as quickly as possible. Cause when I hunt with somebody on this trip, like they took time out of their day, out of their season,
sure,
and took me to their places to hunt. And like, so my gift to them was all these photos.
Yeah.
So like just gave them to the individuals.
So just so I understand, and anyone else out there. So it sounds like you went in with the intention to write more, maybe longer stories as you went, but you got into it and were like, you know what, I just need to be in the moment, be with these people, be with this journey, and not worry about the live kind of content. Is that right?
Yep, exactly. And there was a few things that happened as well throughout, like that kind of made me move to that as well. But yes, other than that,
sure. No, that makes sense. I just want to make sure I was tracking.
Yeah. No. So I just decided that, like, I'm just going to go and do this trip. And, if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, and like, that was the funny thing is, I'm going to do this trip, and, the idea is there's a lot of things that are the ideally come out of this. One is a podcast. One is like a series of articles. One is we did it. So Jake, my business partner, we filmed a lot on the trip. So there's going to be
nice. I didn't know that.
So there's going to be a video series that comes out, and then a book at some point.
Very cool.
So that's, man,
lot to look forward to there.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Once like over promising and under delivering, I really feel bad about that. I genuinely do. But is that I just wanted to be in the moment and experience it. And I look back now and I talk to some of my like writing mentors. I am a big person in mentors. Like, I think everybody should have a mentor for everything in their lives.
Something. Yeah. Agreed.
For everything. I think you should have a mentor for everything. For every different thing, you should have a different mentor.
Yep.
For some of my writing mentors, it's what do you think about this? Like, I'm not taking notes, but I've never been a note taker. Like college, I wasn't a note taker. And I have these photos that I can look back at, and I can be back in that moment.
It brings you right back into that field, into that tailgate, and
exactly.
Wherever you're at.
And I can have conversations like this conversation, right? I can have that's what the podcast will be. It's kind of let's talk about the hunt that we had.
Let's do a verbal dump
that day.
Relive
verbal
that.
dump and relive it, and that kind of jogs my memory and sees their perspectives. And
that's phenomenal.
So that's the idea. That's to write a book, but is to a lot of other cool stuff. And
absolutely. Was Jake out there with you? Did he join you kind of at different times in the trip, or what was his role in helping, if at all?
Yeah, so he joined. So he I literally can say everything over the past 6 months is like just complete serendipitous, like fully serendipitous. I had decided to move into the truck and do this trip. And at the same time, unbeknownst to me, I had never met Jake prior to like August 26th in person. We had talked on the phone and stuff. And at that point, I was just paying him to drive up to Wyoming to do a hunt with Hunt Ready, and film. But prior to that, he had decided he was moving out of his apartment, and he bought a camper that he was moving into full time. And so we're both, just living on the road.
Yeah.
He was doing his own thing and I was doing mine. And, there was weeks that we would spend together, and there's, weeks that we would go do our own thing. So, we would meet up throughout the trip, and whenever we were in the same region or whatever it was. So yeah, I mean, we met up for like, call it 9 different hunts maybe, but they're like multiple days and stuff like that. So
Sure.
So yeah, he was out there a lot with me, and it was and
That's
that
cool.
was nice to have some like a familiar face around every now and then.
Yeah. Okay.
Something to like remind you of like, okay, you're not just like only around strangers and
Yeah,
stuff.
it gives you a little I can never say that word, familiarity.
Yeah.
I'm gonna butcher that. Okay, so I got to ask you this then. On this trip, again, I have not read the book you're referring to, A Hunter's Road. So was there anything on the trip that you maybe had a goal for, maybe a state you wanted to hit, maybe a species you wanted to hunt, or someone you wanted to hunt with that you didn't accomplish? Was there something that you had an idea that you were going to do, it didn't, it fell through? Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the funny things is like prairie chicken. I did not get a prairie chicken, and like Edgar Castillo, he tried. So he was like texting me and like honestly sending me location. He's like, I've killed birds here. Like I've killed and like he's the prairie chicken master.
Oh yeah,
and
for
like,
sure.
I never saw one. Like literally,
this is a common theme. Quick side note. So I interviewed Cade Springston last night. Same thing. He's like, he tried prairie chickens. He hit them not too hard, but and I'm the same way. I hunted them a couple of days this year and never even saw one. So this is a theme I'm feeling.
Yeah. I think I walked 35 miles in 2 days and did not like see a prairie chicken.
You're elusive.
And yeah. So that was like a funny thing. And then like and then the Chachalaca, which nobody knows about Chachalaca.
What the heck is that?
Dude. Okay. It's an upland bird in South Texas.
Stop it.
Yeah, dude. I swear to God.
Never even heard of it.
No one has. Nobody has. I hadn't.
The Chachalaca?
Chachalaca. Chachalaca.
All right, I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, Chachalaca. Didn't kill one of those, and they're really weird. Like you don't hunt them with dogs. You essentially stand in the middle of the woods, listen for this call of this bird, and then you like crawl through javelina tunnels to like try and get to where you saw it, and then try and flush it out of the tree.
No
and then
way.
Shoot it. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's honestly
is it like
crazy.
kind of a desert bird? Like
no, dude, no, it's like a rainforest bird.
Oh my gosh.
And it's nuts, man. It's
okay.
Crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, no one knows about it. I didn't get one. And like that's also a common theme. There's only like one other person that like 2 other people I think that I put something. I was like, so my friend that's a waterfowl guy, Austin Ingram, he's like the sweetest dude in the world. Like he's so nice. And he's like, oh, you're coming to Texas? Like I gotta find like what are the opportunities here in Texas for you? Well, and he's like, have you ever hunted Chachalaca? And I thought he was talking about the chupacabra. I was like, dude, you mean chupacabra? He's like, no, dude, like seriously, look it up. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And so I like look it up, and it's a real thing. So I put on my Instagram, like, does anybody know about Chachalaca? And it was this like, oh man, great, like somebody from like way back, way back in the somebody from the beginning of the trip that had reached out to me like on Instagram, never met him. And like he like comes back around and he's like, dude, actually I've hunted them. And like there's only one way. There's like one place to hunt them. You got to go here.
Gosh.
And like, yeah. And then I tried it. Yeah, dude, it was this whole thing. It was crazy. And that guy's name's Trey and Trey Johnson. And he came back he came up in this trip. So there's multiple people
really?
recurring people.
Theme. Yeah.
Yeah. Or not even like just, yeah. People that just like randomly popped up in like this. It was weird, but like Trey is one of those guys.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was funny as shit. So Chachalaca, but then in terms of like things that I wanted to do, I did not get to hunt with Jim Fergus, which I was pretty pretty bummed about that, but honestly, it's fine. It was COVID.
Who's Jim Fergus?
Jim Fergus, he is the author of the book.
Oh, okay.
And so we had messaged at the beginning of, before I left on the trip, that I was doing it. And he was, I don't want to, like, not, he was very skeptical of me doing this and wondering like what he's like, you're not going to have the same experience that I had on my trip, because
interesting.
the country's not the same. Like the land isn't the same. The hunting's not the same, and blah, blah. And so I was like, oh man, like, what am I getting myself into? Holy shit.
That's probably like the night before you're leaving. You're like, should I be doing this?
Yeah, like pretty much. So I didn't get to hunt with him, but that was fine. And that's there. There were so many ups and downs and on the trip. The first week of the trip, I walked 55 miles and didn't see a single bird. And I was like, what the hell did I get myself into? Like, what? Like, oh God. So yeah, no, I mean, but then, putting myself, that was something is that I had so many other there were so many, like, when I genuinely mean so many times, a number of times that I can't even count them, likely, of that I just sat there in my truck or wherever I was and was like, how the hell did I end up here? Like, why am I here? Like, what happened? What did I do to deserve to be here? Or like, why is this happening to me? And
kind of that surreal moment of is this real right now?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I can give you a couple examples, but there's just moments where you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, excuse my language. I don't know if like this is a family friendly podcast, but like, what? Like, how am I here? Like, how is it that I, Adam Pecht, am at XY place?
Yeah.
For this, like, well, that I got invited.
This trip, I mean, you mentioned what, you're 28, 29 years old. You hit more states, more bird species than you ever have in your life up to that point, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh,
in 1 6 month journey. And so one day you might be hitting Wyoming sage grouse. The next day you're chasing chukar or whatever it might be. Like that's a dream for a lot of people that may not ever come true.
Dude, and I try to put that in, make sure everybody knows that I genuinely know that. And I understand that I am extremely lucky, and I'm not like just trying to rub it in people's faces that I got to do this. Like, I know that this is a lot of people's dreams to be able to do a week of it, and I got to do 6 months of it. So, I'm well aware of that. And I am very thankful that I have, been given this life of whatever it is.
No, absolutely. No, honestly, Adam, I mean, you did a great job on this trip of just, it was fascinating to watch. I never once thought, oh, this guy's what a jerk. He's, flaunting this awesome trip on social media. It was just fascinating to see not only the photos, but the species of birds you were hunting, the dogs you were getting to hunt behind. Just the time around campfires and at bars. It was a fascinating journey that I think for myself, I can say it let me into some states, some hunting areas that I might not ever get to go to. And so it was a fun journey to just stay up to date with and see some of these amazing places.
Man, thank you so much. I can't wait to tell all the stories to really get people involved and understanding like what all is out there. I think that there's, I'm not like this whole thing about hot spotting and bird species and stuff. Like, I know guys, I know, like, chill out. But, there's, these places, okay, we're not hot spotting, like the general places of like, everybody goes to, the state, everybody goes to Kansas to hunt pheasant, which, don't get me wrong. Kansas pheasant is fun. I did it for like 3 weeks this last week. Last year. Like, it was fun. Like, now I enjoy shooting Bob White in Kansas more than pheasant, but whatever. But that's beside the point. But it's that, but like, there's other things other than going into, you know, like to Kansas or South Dakota to hunt pheasant, and there's a lot of good people out there all over the country. You know, that is also something like, so A is I want people to know that there's a lot more hunting in a lot more places than they would actually like normally travel to. And so it's not just these states that you really think about. Like, you know, one of them is like West Texas is some of the best hunting. It was an amazing time.
Wow.
Yeah, West Texas.
That's a really good point. I mean, so in my hunting journey, I feel like South Dakota is like I'll say the end all be all. It's like I have to get to South Dakota. And now fair warning, I haven't been there yet. But in this last year, in this last year and a half, it's become a little bit lower on my list now, because I'm looking at places like Wyoming sage grouse. Yeah, I might not shoot a limit of roosters and line them up on the tailgate. I might get one bird, but that's becoming more appealing to me than the big South Dakota pheasant hunt or Eastern Montana for Sharpies and Huns. Like, that's super high on my list right now that I'm going to try to do this September. And so there's these kind of these, yeah, for sure. There's these little kind of like, I don't know if you call them niche hunting spots or states or species even. Because I used to say pheasant was my absolute favorite bird to hunt from my limited experience, but that's changing now. I hunted Sharpies last year in the Sand Hills, Nebraska, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this bird was a blast to chase. And so all that to say, I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly, but I think there's some really cool opportunities that are beyond your traditional, big pheasant hunt.
So, telling these stories is like to let people know that is, there are more opportunities you would think. And, I'm not saying that going to Kansas or South Dakota isn't fun. Like, it truly is.
Sure. I'm sure it's a blast.
Like, it really is. I fully support you if you want to go do that. But there are other things that you can go do and other hunts that you can do, and that are a lot of fun. They're a bit more challenging, but they are a lot of fun. And, the other thing I was going to say is that I want people to know is, it's another theme of the book is like, there's two things, I guess, is, and I've said this in a recent article that I wrote for publication, but is, everybody experiences hunting in their own way, and no way is right and no way is wrong.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
And when I say that, I mean, obviously, like, there are wrong things about hunt. Like, there's wrong ways to hunt. Like, I'm saying that, like, yes, not everything black and white, but like, I hunted with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, from like in a lot of different types of hunting. And, if you are the guy that only hunts public land, like, dude, good for you. Like, honestly, good for you. Like, I love that for you. And I love hunting on public land. But like, the guy who is in Thomasville, Georgia, that hunts on plantations and kills a ton of bobwhite every day, and like and rides on a mule drawn wagon, like, he loves that, and he enjoys that. And you know what? That's fine. Like, no one should be. I feel like there's like so much animosity. I don't follow. Like, I genuinely do not follow any of the meme accounts on social media about like upland hunting meme accounts, because there's so much animosity and people just like coming at each other about like the different ways that they hunt or they experience hunting, and
different breed of dog that they run, or the type of shotgun they use, or type of vest they have, all these different things that they pit against each other.
Exactly. And I'm, do I agree with every way that people, like, do I agree with shooting quail out of a rig? No, but like, some people do that. And you know what? Like, and those guys have a freaking blast. And like, okay, as long as you're safe and like it's legal, then do it. That's fine. Exactly. I don't care. And so, like, just don't. So everybody experiences hunting in their own way. No way is right. No way is wrong. And just support each other, loving hunting. So that's one thing. And in a time that everything was so fraught, like in the nation and the world, is that I was out there driving around the country, and I met more amazing people than I met bad people.
Mhm.
And I genuinely believe that there's more good people there's more great people out there than there are bad people. It's just the bad people, like whatever side you're on, like there's more good people than there are bad people. The bad people are just louder. Like they like you hear on the news about all this horrible stuff that's happening. And that was a part of me going on the trip, was that I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of social anxiety from COVID and from like everything that was like everything was so negative on the news. Like I honestly didn't listen to any podcasts or any news while I was on the road, because everything referred to something bad that was happening in the world. Like the world was on fire, and I was just so over it. Like I just didn't care. And when you do that, when you can tune out all of that and meet these people that have a smile on their faces and are like, just want to help you out, and see that, like, you see the good in the world, like, man, that's powerful. Like that is powerful.
Absolutely.
And so that kind of gets back to that original question of like, it was more about the people. Genuinely, it was more about the people.
So we haven't really touched on your dogs yet. And if you know anything about me, bird dogs in general is a big part of why I hunt, why I love the uplands. So everyone I have on this podcast, I really want to talk and dig into a little bit about your bird dogs, just get to know them a little bit. And so let's start off. I know you have a chocolate lab. So tell us a little bit about him, and then get into your new pup you just picked up.
Yeah. So, well, Tucker's my chocolate lab, and he is just my best friend. Like, he's been with me he's 7 years old. I got him when he was like, I think a year old. From a crazy story how I got him is I had quit college hockey, and my dad had got this dog. I had this dog given to him. I guess, I don't know what the story is, but had this dog given to him, and my mom, he comes home. My mom we already had like 4 or 5 dogs at that point. And my mom was like, he's like, either you get rid of that dog or I'm divorcing you. And like, I don't know if she was joking or not, but
you'll never know.
Yeah, I never know. And then, and my dad called me. He's like, so you quit hockey, huh? I was like, yep. He's like, well, do you want a dog? And I was like, yeah, I would love a dog. He's like, oh, I got you one. And I was like, all right, cool. So I got a dog. And that was Tucker. And so at that time, man, I was like, just more concerned about chasing women and drinking beer, and, didn't train him like at all, like genuinely didn't train him at all. And, we would hunt every year, but it was never like anything serious. He was never like this superb dog. But I think that was the best thing for me, is I didn't need a superb dog. I needed a best friend. And he's been with me through, girlfriends, friends, apartments.
Been through it all with you.
I've been through it all with me. And we have this incredible bond, and, going out and not having this phenomenal bird dog was, almost relaxing to a point where, I didn't have to be out there trying to impress anybody with this like dog that I have. Like, he's just a meat dog. And I say that a lot. Like the way I describe him, he's just a serviceable dog. But he can find birds. So
that's awesome. That's great.
So yeah, I mean, he's awesome. Yeah. Like he
came with you on the trip, right? He was with you the whole time.
Yeah. So he was the only dog I took on the trip. We hunted. I want to say we hunted over 150 days, but I don't know if that math works out. I need to go back.
Okay.
I've tried to count them multiple times, but it just never
sounds close enough. Close enough.
Yeah. So he hunted with me. He's 7 years old, and he hunted pretty much every day I did.
Wow.
And he crushed it. And I wrote a little something. I'm gonna cry about it. Like, it's my once in a lifetime dog.
I was gonna bring that post up, man. That got me a little teary eyed.
Man, I wrote that. If anybody, if you could link to that, or I can send it to you to put it.
You know what? Please send it to me. I was actually a couple of days ago. I was trying to find that post. I couldn't find it. And then I was thinking maybe it was a story. Let's connect on that.
Yeah. But so that what had finished the trip. Trip was over, and I had been okay. So I'm an emotional person. Like if I'm like business wise, I'm like not emotional. I'm pretty like straightforward. But man, you start talking about feelings and stuff. Like I'm a pretty emotional person. And I at the end of the trip, I was sitting watching the sunset over this mountain with Alex Stahl and the people from Spoke Hollow Outfitters, and I just like started like crying and like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, man, like Tucker, like he just crushed it for 6 months. Like, holy shit, like that dog is amazing. I can't believe he did that. Like I'm so like I couldn't have done this trip without him. It was amazing. And then I left that West Texas. That was the last day. It was the last sunset of the trip when that happened. And I started driving to pick up Pawl, my new puppy, which is a French Brittany. And we were sitting in we had to like delay a bit because the breeder was at work, and he was my friend Matt Vimonin from Buckley Creek Kennels, and Buckley Creek Bretons, and I'm sitting in a Walmart parking lot just crying, like bawling my eyes out because I'm riding this thing. Cause it came to the realization when I woke up that that was the night when I had woken up. That was the last night that it would just be Tucker and I.
Sure.
And that these are the last few hours that it was just going to be Tucker and I. Before things change. And like, I started feeling guilty. I was like, call my mom. I was like, Mom, I can't get this puppy. Like, I can't do this to Tucker.
It hit you hard.
Yeah, man. I was literally bawling my eyes out as I was writing that. And so I was like, kind of wrote an ode to Tucker of like, you're my once in a lifetime dog.
Oh,
last night as Paul is my new puppy. Paul's like running around chasing lightning bugs and like Tucker and we're just sitting like on the ground in the middle of our horse field. And like Tucker just is like sitting in my lap and just like loves me. And I'm just like, dude, this is like,
this is the best. This is the best. This is the best life.
Yeah. So yeah. So
he seems like
Tucker.
Yeah. He seems like a sweet dog, man. He's and not only, before we move on to Paul, it's not only that you had a hunting dog out there on a trip, you had a buddy out there when you're putting those miles in the truck and you're driving from state to state. I mean, you guys probably even developed a tighter bond, I would guess, on this trip, because that was your dude. Yeah, no, I mean, like, he's not in here right now because he's keeping Paul company. Smart, like very smart.
Yeah, but yeah, no, he's still like he's my best friend.
That's awesome, man. Would you consider him your first? Because you said you had dogs growing up. Is he your first dog then? Yeah. So he'd be my first dog. So that's another level of something special about that. Yeah. I mean, I had dogs growing up that like, they were my dogs, but like, I'm not running them all the time. He's not my responsibility. I'm not paying for everything. And like, he doesn't live with, like, he lived at my parents' house. He had other dogs, whatever. So yeah. So, I mean, this was my dog. I was like, this was my first dog. Sure. Okay. Cool. And yeah, I mean, he's awesome. I'm planning, I got to get I have a bunch of stupid thigh tattoos, like they're really bad thigh tattoos. And like, I just got to I'm like trying to figure out, like, I'm going to have to get something like with Tucker. Oh, for sure. Just like something, definitely. Like, I don't know what it'll be. Like, it won't be like anything nice. I haven't gone down the dog tattoo route yet. I have a couple of my kids, but the dogs might make an appearance. When I say mine are bad, dude, I mean, like, they were done in like a kitchen kind of bad. But, oh man, I'm glad this is not a video podcast. Yeah, they're bad. All right, let's move on to your Épagneul Breton, Paul. Dude, I have not said that yet, and I will not. I'm probably the worst. I love saying it. I'm probably the worst French Brittany owner ever. I call him French Brit all the time, but once in a while, if I want to feel really smart, I say Épagneul Breton. I honestly can't even spell it. Oh, I can't either. It's like, I just say it. There's a G in there somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, no. So I've got a French Brittany. I bought a French Brittany named Pawl, Pawl. Real quick, why'd you spell it that way?
Man, my sister, we were drinking beer one night when I was home, and we like couldn't figure out what we were gonna. I love human names, and so the next lab that I get will be Bill. I like love human names.
That's cool.
But she was like, what about Paul? And she's like Pawl, and I was like, oh yes,
that's the one.
Like, that is it. Like she said that, and I was like, yep, that's done. Like
you Paul, just like, you heard it.
It's over.
Okay, cool.
It's done. So Paul, I'm trying to figure out. I wanted to have his like call it a secondary call name, be Big W. But he's not going with it so far. No, I like sounds nothing like Paul. So
Big W.
Like, I'm like Big W.
Hey, just change it, man. That's a good one too.
I don't know. So
he's super cute, by the way. He's a great looking pup.
Man, I got really lucky with meeting Matt. I met Matt on the trip. I shot my first. This kind of gets into, I think, what one of your questions you wanted to ask was like, why did I choose a French Brit?
Of course I want to get into that.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of reasons. I mean, like I overthink everything. But it's like, so I had never hunted with a French. I grew up hunting with American Brittany's, so I know their demeanor. I know their conformation. I know like their range. I know them all. I know everything about American Brittany's. I'd never hunted with a French Brittany. And then hunting with Matt, who breeds them, and then another dog that had come out of his litter. I really enjoyed. We were hunting sage grouse in Wyoming.
I was going to say that was, sorry, real quick side note. That was probably my favorite. I don't know if you call it photo series or something. That Wyoming trip, man, that just gave me so many feelings. And honestly, probably a little bit because there were some Brittany's in there, French Brittany's, and I just got mine. But that was a special. That looked like a special trip, man.
It's still like everybody that was on that trip is now just like such a dear friend. I met up with everybody from that trip at least one more time while I was on the trip.
Nice.
And it's like, and so Matt Van Monen, he had his French Brit, Libby there, who's like his once in a lifetime dog, and Libby pointed my first sage grouse.
Oh, nice.
And it was a rock solid point.
Cool.
And like everybody else, this is one of those things where you just like, I've been hunting long enough that I know things that are happening, and like everybody else was walking down this one way, like this one draw, and I went over like saw Libby going over this way, and she was like working at like maybe you call it a two. I mean, it's the sage. It's a sea of sage, right? Like it's huge. And so you're like 200 yards out, and I see Libby following her nose, but we're all pretty spread out. So I was the only one that saw like Libby going this way, and I was just like, they're walking that way. I'm gonna walk this way. I'm gonna follow this dog.
Smart man.
Crest over this little like roller, and I see Libby on point, like locked up. And I just like got to shoot this sage.
Wow. Unreal.
Yeah, it was so cool. And so I got to do that, and that dog Libby stuck out in my mind as like this amazing dog. And he was saying, later this year I'm breeding.
he was priming the pump.
Yeah, he's like Libby sold you. He's like, I don't have to tell you. He's like, I ended up hunting with him again in Iowa and hunting with Libby. Actually, Libby did not. Actually, she hunted one morning because she was already had been bred. And so I just like got to see Libby, and I was like, man, it's like she really is like she's pregnant. Like you're really doing this. He's like, happening. I was like, well, I want one. That's the story of like how I got introduced to them and like the dog, but the reasoning that I got this. I actually am working on writing an article about this, but is like, why did I select a French Brittany over an American Brittany or a Draught or a English Pointer or a Pointer, I guess. Sorry, be correct again.
Come on, get it right. It's Pointer. So. I'm actually looking at one of those right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't tell my wife.
So a pointer will actually be an English pointer will be my next dog, because my grandfather is not doing very well, and he talks. So I live in Gwinnett County, Georgia. In Gwinnett County, you used to be able to walk out your back door and shoot a limit of bob whites in like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And either now like that that hasn't happened in 50 years. Like there's no more bob whites in Gwinnett County. But he did that with his pointer named Lightning. Okay. And so I'm going to get a pointer named Lightning.
Nice. That'll be cool.
But yeah, so why did I get a French Brittany? So like the reasonings why is, so I love American Brittany's, but as a photographer, I can't. So the photography piece is like a huge part of it, and also just like how I experience hunting. It's like I don't like having a really, really big running dog, for reasons of, if that dog points something 700 yards out, what are the odds that a wild bird is still going to be there when I get there? I've got to run there.
That's better be on a horse at that point.
Yeah. You're running and whatever, like that's not enjoyable. Also, like you got to be on know where your dog is all the time, because if they get too far, all stuff. So, to me, it was really down between an American Brittany and a French Brittany. American Brittany's have a larger range, right? So we'll call that a 300 to 400 yard range. And you can bring them back down. I know people are going to say that you can bring a dog back down. You can bring their range in. I know, but their natural range is,
sure,
400 yards. French Brittany, I would say is, 250 to 100 is like what they would like to run at. They can run bigger,
sure,
they can.
A lot of it has to do with training, and
yeah, they can run bigger, but that's their natural range. And American Brittany's are very independent dogs, and so therefore they have a bit of what I refer to as like a fuck you mentality, where you're like, hey, come here. And they're like, man, I'm good. And and you can shock them or whatever. And they're super thick headed, and they're just going to run. Man, they'll be in the next county. They don't care. But French Brittany's are more human centric in a way. And this is if you stop to tie your shoe, for me, if I stop to take a photo, I want to know that I don't need to be solely my eyes on that dog all the time. I can stop, take a photo, and not worry about that dog. I know that dog's going to naturally come back and check in with me.
Sure.
And so I wanted a pointing dog. I wanted a dog that was obviously bigger running than a chocolate lab.
A lab, yeah.
I wanted a dog that I didn't have to really worry about, running across the county.
Yeah.
All the time. So yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like you had all those kind of ideas in your head, and then after you hunted with Libby and Matt and those guys, they kind of sealed the deal for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just sealed the deal for me. It was like, hey, let's do it. That's awesome. Get a French Brit, and also, it doesn't hurt that they photograph really well too.
They do. Their coloring is incredible. I get comments on it all the time, and I live with them all the time, but I'm hit every once in a while going, wow, damn, he is a nice marked dog.
Yeah, exactly. The white, cool. The white and the. Okay, this is a question I have for you, because is it white and brown, white and red? What do you call the is it red? Was it orange? What is it?
Roan.
Roan. I love that. That's a cool.
I just call it Roan. I heard a couple other people mention that's their the color / their markings is what you call Roan. Now I could be totally wrong, but I've heard a couple other people mention it, and that's what I went with.
Okay, cool.
So let's call him Roan.
Sweet.
But it was kind of crazy. This probably because yours is, how old's Paul now?
Ooh,
roughly
4.5, 5 months, I think.
Okay, because it's so crazy how much their coat will change in not only color but then the markings as well. Because I got so Gunner's out of Trinity Kennels. I'm in Iowa, and I know him and Matt are pretty close as well. But I got pictures when he was born and kind of throughout the process, and he looked like an orange and white Brittany American. And I was like, oh, okay. I can get down with another orange and white. That's fine. And Josh told me, he said, oh no, he's going to be roan. Don't worry. I'm like, Josh, if you're listening to this, I doubted you. I was like, no, he's going to be orange and white. There's no way. Cause that's what he looked like. And he was a pup.
Yeah.
But sure enough, man, once we got him home, he's 2-3 months. I'm like, damn, Josh was right. He's a roan dog. It's crazy how much they change.
Yeah. I really hope that he's just, I like the orange and white. I think orange and white
I do too.
Is badass.
It's classy, man. It's classy.
So,
Cause I have my older one's an American Brit. He's just that classic orange and white. And there's something about a mostly white dog, man. That's pretty cool watching run out there.
Like classic is a good way to put
it.
I'm not like a flashy guy. I'm not a flashy guy. I don't like the attention to be on me. So like, I just want
I just want your dog. Yeah. You want your dog to look good.
No, I want a classic dog. Like I don't want, that's why I didn't go with a draught. Because I didn't want people to like show up and be like, oh, draught. Yeah. Like, I didn't want to be that guy. Totally. Like, not that those guys are bad. Like I hunted with more draughts this season.
Really?
I think 10.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. Like 10 different draughts. Yeah. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
But like, I didn't like, so a lot of my friends have draughts, but like, I just didn't want to be the guy that like shows up with like a flashy dog or like a dog that, is like different. I just want to a French Brittany, I guess, is like different, but it's I don't know. It still has it's a small orange and white dog.
It still has that classic feel to me.
Yeah.
Just a couple more things before we wrap up here. I with everyone I have on or I've had on so far, I'm going through a series of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So just kind of off the cuff, give me your quick answer. Just have a couple here for you. So, first one, if you had to take out into the field with you a shotgun or a camera, which are you taking?
Ooh, shoot, man. I always carry both.
You got to pick one. You got only one.
I know. It would probably be a camera. I've killed enough birds to last a lifetime. It would be a camera.
Okay. Awesome. Favorite bird species to hunt?
Shit. Oh man. Okay. God. Okay. See, it's not even species anymore. Like it was not as just specific as just like now species is broad. Okay. So Huns in Montana.
Please explain. Yeah.
Huns in Montana. Okay. Scaled quail in West Texas. Like
wow. Okay.
So I see
what you did there.
Like the birds act different in different areas. Like a Hun in North Dakota is different than a Hun in Montana. Maybe not the ones like right across the border, but like, yeah. But like the ones that are like in the coulees, like up in northern Montana, the Hun, they fly completely differently.
Wow. Okay.
And then you have the scale quail in West Texas. Like I spent 2 weeks in New Mexico hunting scale quail, and they are completely different birds. Like
really,
they act completely differently.
Wow.
I can't. I would love to be able to tell you which one, Huns or scale quail, but it's Huns in Montana, scale quail in West Texas. Like wow. That. Okay. Is bar. Like that's that.
Very cool. Did you? This is not a rapid fire question. Did you hunt Arizona at all?
Yeah. So So I hunted Arizona. I got gambles there. I was down in. I went to a falconry meetup in Arizona.
Oh, dang.
It was crazy. In Portal, Arizona is where the falconry meetup was. That's not where we hunted. I'm not hot spotting. That's where everybody stayed. Come on. That's where we stayed. We did not hunt there. Geez.
Calm down, everyone. Calm down. And it was a falconry meetup, so we were hunting hares. Oh, wow.
But we weren't shooting them. But then farther away, we hunted some gambles and scale quail. That's where I got my first scale quail, was Arizona.
Oh, nice. Congrats. Just real quick, that falconry shit is some badass shit.
Dude.
It is bad.
I mean, that was, dude. Oh, it is. man, we could have an entire podcast on. So like,
I know very little about it, but oh my God.
I know very little about it, but I feel like I know so much now. And I know,
You're
and
basically
I know
a pro
like
then, right?
scratch the surface and like how it's a small world, dude. Like this guy that I bought pigeons from the other day, that is from 3 miles from my house, like 3 miles from my parents' house where I grew up.
Yeah.
This guy knows Tyler Sladen.
Oh, no way.
Like
because he runs Falcons?
Because he's a falconry guy.
Okay.
And like he's met Tyler.
I'm sure
it's
a pretty small community. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of
is.
people know each other.
Yeah. So I got like a kicking discount on pigeons.
Oh, dude, we didn't even talk about pigeons. Damn it. That's gonna have to be in the next podcast because I want to talk about pigeons. I have pigeon eggs right now, and I don't know what the F to do.
Oh no!
There's like 4 or 5 eggs in my pigeon coop, and yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. But we definitely need to talk pigeons sometime. Okay, just a couple more. What gun did you carry out with you in the field this year?
Dude, oh God, you don't want to. This is another. Okay, I carried so the first part of the trip, I had got so Rock Island Armory Auctions, gun auctions. I don't even know anything about that.
No, I don't.
It was lot number 98. It's like a gun online gun and like
okay.
auction. It was lot number 98 of 100. 2 daily Marukus came up up for sale. And 2 12-gauge daily Marukus, and I bought them for $750.
Okay. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know what those are, so just tell me like what kind of gun, all that.
So it's 12 gauge over. So hold on. That
you're very excited right now, and dude, I can't gauge how excited I should be.
So the daily Maruku, I don't know how to say it exactly, is the original Browning Satori.
Okay.
Like, so when Browning went to Japan to start making their guns, they bought the Maruku factory because they were looking for somebody that was already producing high quality over and under shotguns and the model of them. And so the Maruku, the daily Maruku, is the predecessor to the Satori.
Okay. Wow.
So it was like
that sounds cool.
Which I grew up shooting Satoris. My dad is like a Satori nut, and then I was like, "Hey, can I take the Satori out to Colorado?" And he was like,
"Fat chance."
Yeah, right, buddy. So that's what I shot. It was a 12 gauge. So I had 2 12 gauges. That's what I was shooting like for the first part of the trip. And then in Kansas, I had this crazy happenstance where like, how do these things happen? This is another one of them. I ended up like by chance meeting a guy from Caesar Guarini, and he gave me a shotgun.
What?
Yeah,
dude.
So, like when I say like by chance, like I literally mean like I was driving down the road.
No way.
And I saw this duck boat, like this, not your everyday duck hunter's duck boat in this small town. There's no reason I should have been in the small town. Like I do. Wow. This is my favorite story. My friend Megan had got this Airbnb for us to stay in to hunt pheasant with her dad.
Uh-huh.
And in this small town that has no restaurants and no gas station, like there's no reason anybody should ever be in this town. And I'm like driving down and I hadn't gotten there in time to scout. I'm essentially guiding them, and I'm like, oh man, Onyx looked at stuff, whatever. I'm driving out of the town, and I see this this nice duck boat, this not your everyday hunter's duck boat. Like this guy knows birds.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, that guy, what the hell? Like, I bet if I asked him, he would know something.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I pull over, get out of the car. My friends are like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. I see this guy on the front porch, drinking a cup of coffee, and I'm like, I was like, hey man, how you doing? He's like, good. How are you doing? Like, what's up, man? I was like, dude, that's a nice duck boat. Like, I just want I got a couple questions for you. I'm looking for pheasant. He's like, come on in, man. I just made a pot of coffee. Like, hell yeah, dude.
All right, come on.
And then I'm like, all right, sweet. So I go inside and have a cup of coffee with this guy. And I walk in, and there's $10,000 worth of decoys sitting in this guy's living room.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, who
are you?
Who is this guy? Like, who are you? And he's like, he's like, oh, I just love duck hunting. He's like, I can work from wherever. I was like, oh, cool. Sounds good. Like, that's cool, man. And he's like, well, what about you? Tell me your story. I was like, oh, I'm like working on this project, and like, I'm like doing this thing where I'm recreating this book, and like work with a publication or two, and like, oh, like you're taking photos. He's like, no, he's like, spits out his coffee. He's like, no, he's like, okay, you're gonna bleep this out. He's like, no way that you are sitting in my living room right now. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I am one of the only U.S. sales reps in the U.S. for Caesar Guerini shotguns. And we're historically been in like sporting clays, but we just came out this model for upland hunting, and like I need to get it. He's like, and now that you say your name, he's like, I've been following you on Instagram.
Shut up.
He's like,
my gosh, Adam, that is
dude,
ridiculous.
And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy. And he's like, here's the deal. He's like, I need to get a gun in your hands as soon as possible. I was like, dude, I cannot accept Caesar Guerini. Like, I cannot. And he's like, no. He's like, no. He's like, give me a second. I was like, all right. And he like walks down, pulls out this like brand new, like, it's literally brand new, never been shot. I think it had like 3. I think he said he had put four shells through it.
Okay.
Hands to me. He's like, take it, shoot it for the rest of your trip.
My gosh.
And then like this guy
what
says, he's like, that's the circle, man. And I was like, he's like, that's the circle. And I'm like, dude, that is the freaking circle.
That's the definition right there.
So yeah,
that is the definition.
So then I shot a 20 gauge Caesar Guerini for the rest of the trip.
Okay. Wow, dude, that's gonna be with you forever. That story and those random acts of just the things by chance, that how they happen. And
yeah, so I like when I saw that it was a question on there. I was like, this is not rapid fire. He's asking the wrong question.
This is like a 4 minute per question rapid fire.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
No, dude, I love it. All right, just 2 more. Beverage of choice after a hunt.
Mick Ultra. Ice cold Mick Ultra.
All right. I don't know if I've had a Michelob Ultra. I don't know if I have. Dude, no, I actually did a couple weeks ago at my kids' soccer practice.
Yeah,
saw some buddies of mine. Yeah, they pulled it. I just got done with a bike ride. I pulled up to soccer practice, and my buddy's got a case of beer, and he's like, "Hey, you want something to drink?" He's like, "You want something heavy or light?" I'm like, "Light." I just got off doing 5 miles on the bike, and they're like, "Well, here you go." It's like perfect. So I did have one of those.
That dude, so good. I don't drink IPAs. Like the shitty. Like whenever I go to a bar, I'm like, they're like, "What are you drinking?" I'm like, "What's the shittiest beer you got?" Like that's what I want.
That's like, what I want.
I want the shitty beer.
You
IPAs.
You a Coors guy at all?
If that's the shittiest, if that's the shittiest beer they've got on tap.
I call Coors is like the Maserati of beer for me.
Yeah, well, dude, I mean, like the thing about Coors Banquet is that's a nice beer.
It's great.
It's a nice beer. It's too nice for me.
It tastes different in Colorado too, man. It's just I just picture those Rocky Mountains. Oh, gets me going. Yeah. Okay, last thing. This is not on your question thing I sent to you, so this is gonna be a tough one.
Okay.
Just give me off the cuff, whatever it is, man. I don't care what it is. What's just your biggest takeaway from this epic 6-month trip that you went on? Yeah,
I know the answer to this one.
Good.
Because I've thought a lot about this. Don't be afraid to take chances and to make yourself uncomfortable, because the greatest things in life happen when you take chances and put yourself in the right positions.
Dude, that's awesome.
You don't have to have everything planned. It's just putting yourself in the position to have good things happen to you.
Oh,
that's
mic drop.
Mic drop.
Adam Pecht right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, dude, that's it. That's it, man.
I love that. Are you ever going to do this trip again, or do you feel like you got everything out of it that you wanted to?
I'm not doing this exact trip again, just because I recreated the book. But I have fallen in love with the road. I've fallen in love with this lifestyle, and that's why Jake and I started a field media. And so what we are doing is identifying stories to travel around and go tell. And so, I mean, next season we already have like 3 months lined up of back-to-back hunts that we'll be doing. And so we'll just be living on the road again and, doing that. So maybe it won't be living in my Yukon XL for 6 months straight, but it'll be living on the road for a decent amount of time. So, I mean, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon, which
That's
does
awesome.
not bode well for my love life, but
I mean, come on, hunting's, I mean, it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah. So,
all right, brother. Well, Adam, thank you so much for your time. This was longer than I wanted to keep you. I know you got stuff to do and all that, but I
appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more, getting to know your heart, and just some of your story behind upland hunting and a little bit personal about your life. And I really have enjoyed this.
Man, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And, if you ever need anything, man, please reach out. If anybody needs anything, please reach out.
Will do.
What's where to find me.
I was just gonna say real quick, give us what's the best way to contact you, follow you on social media, give us that.
Yeah, just Instagram's probably the easiest way. I've got 2 accounts. One is getting up and running this next week, is Adam Pecht at ADAMPECHT, super simple. And then afield.media on Instagram as well. So those are the 2 places you can check out the content. And if anybody needs anything, please do not be afraid to message me. I always message everybody back as quickly as possible. Leave me a comment or whatever it is. And I'll probably give you my cell phone number to just shoot me a text.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
But thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It really means a lot.
Absolutely.
Truly
I couldn't wait. When I was going through my guest list for season 1 of this podcast, I mean, you're pretty much top of the list I was like, I gotta just talk with Adam, get to know him a little bit, hear his story about this awesome trip. And I'm glad we did it. I'm really glad we did it.
Thank you. Well, we'll have to get together this next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy Tucker, enjoy your new puppy, Pawl, and can't wait to see what you do with some more pigeons.
Well, thank you so much, man. Hope you have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that is a wrap of episode number 3 of the Upland Rookie Podcast. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Adam. I know I am just super excited to keep watching his story unfold and just following along with the adventures of his new puppy, Pawl, the Épagneul Breton. If you enjoyed this episode, please share a rate and review on Apple Podcast. It'll help get the show out there to more hunters and rookies just like yourself. Also, share it with a friend. Tag us on social media at the Upland Rookie Podcast or at Upland_Brits. Thanks so much for joining me today. And remember, if you're not fortunate enough to own a Brittany, any bird dog is better than no bird dog. Take care, everyone.